Welcome to Before, During, After, a Smirk Experience podcast about performance from the inside. Every week, I'll sit down with a professional comedian to unpack how they prepare for a gig, what they're thinking about while they're on stage, and how they reflect once it's over. Because great performances don't just happen, they're built. This week's guest is my oldest friend in comedy, as you'll discover at the start, Mr. Lenny Sherman. Len and me discuss the craft of joke writing, how pacing delivery affects the performance, and also the thrill of getting up there once you're done. Plus, how talking with or at an audience affects your cut through. Enjoy. Lenny, I normally start these with questions, but I'm going to break with this and actually start this podcast with a very quick story about me, if I may.
Whatever you want to do, mate, you do whatever. I'm ready.
I'm going to tell the listeners about my first ever gig. It was
Ah,
about 15 years ago at this open mic called Lion's Den.
yeah.
I was beyond nervous and I got chatting to a slightly scary looking geezer before we started. And he said, "You on tonight?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "You've been going long?" And I said, "Not at all. Tonight is my first ever gig." And this bloke said, "Oh, come with me, come with me." For my first gig, I was really spun out with how the lights look. They're really bright and you can't see anyone in the room. And it took me about a minute to kind of suss that out before I could start going. And he took me to the side of the stage, showed me what it looked like, and it was really helpful. And we've been friends ever since. And Lenny Sherman, that comic was you.
Oh, that's very nice.
Do
Thank you.
you remember that at all?
I do remember it. Yeah, yeah,
It
I
obviously
do.
was a bigger evening for me than it
Yeah.
was you, but
Well,
that
first,
always that
no,
always yeah, that has stayed with me. That did. You didn't have to do that, but you did.
I remember. I remember I've done one of your gigs before, and you was hosting, and you told that story before you introduced me.
Yes,
It
I
was,
did.
it was really nice. Then
Yeah,
I went, who's this guy? So we had a good laugh.
immediately. I always
Yeah,
think about emceeing wherever possible to try and give acts like a rolling start.
yeah, of course.
Instead of just like reading out a name or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it got the
Len,
crowd on side for me, so yeah, thank you. Straight away
completely,
before I've
mate.
done anything.
We're all pulling in the same direction, buddy. If you
Yeah,
win, then I win.
yeah, mate.
Len, what do you think would be some of the elements, moving on from that story? What are some of the elements that you think that you need to get in place to be ready to walk on stage?
What, as a newbie or in general?
Let's say as a newbie.
Um, Same with anything, prepare. I mean, I've done a comedy course first, personally.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I'd read a load of books about writing but in time, I used to really get a lot of adrenaline.
Mm.
And one of the best tips I heard was from Logan Murray. He said, "It's not nerves. Never call it nerves. Never say you're nervous. It's adrenaline, and adrenaline is your friend." So that
Yeah.
a mindset thing. Don't. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, 'cause that's negative. And if you say it's adrenaline, and adrenaline is your friend, adrenaline does save you. But what I used to get moving on, I'll get so excited. I was never like worried. I was just like excited to go on, and you have them voices in your head, but it's part of the process. But what would happen with me? Even during people would come up to me after the gig and go, well, you look really nervous. I weren't nervous. I was just like adrenaline. My hand would shake and all that. But what I learned in time was doing I do like breathing exercises before I go on. So I'll
Yep.
breathe deep breath in, hold it, deep breath out, just to try and calm that down a bit. Um, and now in time, I've learned to sort of get into my persona before I go on. I sort of walk on stage before, just walk on, but now I'm like conscious. My persona. He thinks he's one of the good guys, so I'm going, I'm waving at everyone, hello, and make the point of. I like to try and be friendly with the host for my persona because I'm, like you said, a bit scary looking, aggressive looking, or whatever. So I like it if the host says something nice. I look like I'm a friend with the host.
Mm.
As long as the host is doing well and the crowd like him, yeah, that's important. But so like yeah, I'm conscious of that. Conscious, you get into your persona. So if your persona's like a grumpy, like a Jack D, you want to sort of strong, bit mopey. But with my persona, I like to hello everyone and wave and thank the crowd and then get into it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's take it way back for you, mate. How old were you when you did your first gig?
15 years ago, 36.
And what made you do it?
I stumbled into stand up. I was at how I started. Was going like I used to go football like Millwall, and
Mhm.
me and my mates we'd like mess about over there, and we had like a strong sense of community over there. A lot of us, and like we there was a web. I remember there was a chat room. It weren't the internet ain't like what it is now. And there's like a chat room, a football chat room, a Millwall one, and people would come on there, and some people would try and act hard and all that, and we'd like take the piss out of them. But I remember there was a guy. He said he wrote for Hollywood or something like that. Everyone was very like it was like pseudonyms. No one had their proper name on it. And he said to me, "You're really funny. You should," because we were like bantering on the page and that. He goes, "You should get into comedy." I said, "I wouldn't know where to start." He goes, "Get a camera phone, film you and your mates messing about." And we done that. We put it online and it done well. And then I wanted to learn how to do sketches properly. So I read books on joke writing and I see a sketch comedy course. And I applied for that, and I'm waiting for that. Then it come round, and then they cancelled it last minute because they didn't fill it up. They said we put you on the next one. That come round again, and they done the same thing again. I said, just give me my money back. And I see the first course I could find was stand up comedy, and it said it taught you how to write comedy, and at the end you do a performance. And I thought, well, I'm not doing a performance. What are they going to do? They can't. So I've done the course, and I was doing well. When I did do the performance as a mental challenge, and then I've done the performance and just got the bug for it and
Yeah.
then went from there. And I done really well at the beginning when I first started. I done, my first the showcase was at Up the Creek Comedy Club. It was about 200 people there as well. There's a lot of people come along, and I've done really well. Although they're very friendly, them like showcase ones. But I remember the owner at the time, or the governor at the time, a bloke called Paul. He put me on the best of the best newcomers night the next week, and I really attacked it when I first started. I was gigging as much as I can. I set myself up to have a go at it, and just got the bug and had a bit of success, and just fell in love with it.
Yeah, brilliant. So much in that I agree with. It is addictive. And that's obviously where the phrase adrenaline junkie comes from, isn't
Yeah,
it? Like
100%.
people that can't feel anything unless they're, cliff jumping off 100-foot cliffs or
Yeah,
skydiving or
yeah.
whatever it is. I I you quite often, maybe less so now, the more experienced you are with it. But I can remember when I started coming off of nights, similar nights, the same nights that you were on.
Mm.
And it's almost like just getting off a roller coaster. And a little part of you wants to run round and queue up and do it
I,
again.
I, I'm still like it now. I'll come off if I'll gig all around the country. I'll do a gig up north and I'm driving home and I ring my missus. She said it's like you've done cocaine or something. So
Yeah,
I'm full of
it is.
adrenaline and I'm like rabbiting on, waffling on, and I'll still get it now. I love it.
No, because would I be right in saying there aren't many comics like you on the circuit?
In what way?
In what way? Like, ex Millwall, a little bit kind of gall
Well,
blimey geezer type stuff. In my experience, there aren't as many people like you compared with,
no.
people that, I mean, I don't know, think Brexit was a bad idea, support, Palestine, all of
Middle
that
class
sort of
lefties and
stuff.
that. Yeah, well, comedy's very is very a lot of middle class dominated by middle class lefties, I suppose. I'm not that I'm righty, I'm a nothing. I don't give a
Yep.
shit about politics. But I play my persona like middle class sort of sorry, working class sort of geezer. And I do play on that a lot. I use that in my act. And yeah, and I try and be original and play. I'm always trying to be original with my stuff, with what I do, trying to
Mm.
do new stuff and bring something fresh to the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, in profile wise, there's not a lot of and older as well. You know what I mean?
Mm.
There seems to be some sort of like a lot of age bias in stand up, sort of. But I'm also a believer in you can like you got like we can all moan and complain. Just go out there and do well, and the rest will follow, or it'll never give up, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, I worked mainly in media. I've worked at
Mm.
BBC, ITV, bunch of independent production companies, and a little part of me thinks they stick people on telly who look good on posters and stuff like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah,
they are like young, fresh-faced
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
But there's also a part of me that thinks that the best comics are the ones that have been round the block a few times and have got more life experience.
Well, I mean, if you've been going 15 years and you put the graft in, and or you've been going a long time, you put the graft in, and you've done all these. Of course, you're more likely to be better than someone who hasn't been doing it long. It's not always the case, but yeah, I mean, you should. Oh, personally, I believe people should be judged on merit.
Yeah,
Personally, we've all got our
cool.
own, and I don't like sort of, and I don't appease to like, oh, what would they want to hear? Like trying to please other people. I do what I want to do and try and be genuine and authentic and bring something fresh to the table. That's what I believe in art. Rather than oh, it's another one going on about this. You know what? Like they're all saying the same thing. Really, a lot
Yeah,
of them. And I don't like. I'm not naming names or slagging off other. I'm just saying that's my person. I like to see something different. Do you know what I mean? I like to see something fresh to the table. And that's what I try and do myself as well.
completely. And if you think about it from a basic kind of supply and demand point of view, the dominant ruling sect in a lot of comedy
Mm.
isn't actually very representative of the whole country. So you're then in a situation from a promoter's point of view, regardless of the politics, whatever you think about Palestine or Brexit or anything like that, you're just thinking to yourself, what's going to get bums on seats in this comedy club that I run, you know, and
Yeah, I mean,
more, kind of like normal, if you want to put that in like speech marks, that actually would, you would think in theory, strike more of a chord than having someone come and, I don't know, tell you about something that you might not agree with. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah, I mean, personally, I think if someone's funny, they're funny. I don't really care what their political beliefs are, their age, their gender, their race, or whatever.
Mm,
If they're funny, they're funny. You know what I mean? It doesn't. I don't really care what they are. I can laugh at anything if it's funny, and I appreciate the craft. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? And that sort of thing. I don't know. The funny thing is, though, you're saying, yeah, I think we sound like these about the youngs. They like a young, fresh thing, fresh face, and that. A lot of the comedy clubs that I play around the country, right? Most of the time, the audiences are like 50 years old. Fifth about average age is probably around about 60 years old. Oh, from my experience, I
Yep.
know a lot of them in London, the gigs they're a bit more younger. Some of them maybe your top secrets and stuff like that might be a bit younger, or but there's a market for all of them. Like if you're just as an example, an Asian act, they'd get a big Asian following.
Yep.
as well. Like if they're talking about Asian stuff, for instance, or whether you're if you're talking like if you're good, people will like you. But what I'm saying, if you lock into something, some experience, then people who share that experience sort of lock into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, but you got to back it up by being funny as well and interesting or whatever. You know, you're a comedian at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, that's it. That is the number one thing. And you're right. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a bit of a disconnect between what comedy clubs are after versus what telly's after.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on TV. And all promoters are different. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's different. Certain people like there's different sort of clubs that have prefer different things. It's sort of like the beauty of comedy. You get a lot of knockbacks and rejection, but there's loads of opportunities. There's loads of different comedy clubs and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's pretty good, really.
Absolutely.
Me personally, I'll just try and be the best that I can. I'm not in competition with anyone else or really like focus on like getting awards or good reviews or stuff like that. Most important, I know myself if I've got better, if I've wrote a new good bit, I'm like, yeah, I'm growing. I've improved a new bit. I'm on getting
Mm,
better as a comedian. Just keep doing that, and that's how I think.
yeah, absolutely. I suppose we should move on from this just in case there are too many working class geezers that fancy having a go and the market gets flooded with it, Len.
Yeah.
What's your
I mean, there
advice
is a lot
about
of
any?
working class comedian. I don't know. I don't really label myself. I just get on with it. Do
No,
you know
no,
what I mean?
no. But I think it's important to, like, you've obviously now moved on a lot in 15 years, Len. Here's
Yeah.
a question. Is confidence preparation or experience?
Both, both. I'm very disciplined now. I've become a lot, even more so in time. Um, yeah, experience helps. You got to learn the craft as well. Just do everything you can to become better.
Yeah.
I think that's my opinion.
Yeah. Absolutely right. No, that, and since I've been doing these, I've been amazed at some of the stories that comics have told me about the graft
Yeah.
behind it. It's so easy, I think, for punters just to go along to a comedy night and just be like, oh, yeah, that was funny. That was. I know a bar around the corner that's still open. Should we go and get a couple more drinks?
J-
And they have no idea at the
No,
amount of work that's
well,
gone into that.
there's the illusion. A lot of them think that comedians are just going and just talking. They don't realise it's material,
Yeah,
and
right.
you're not really supposed to tell them that. Well, it depends on your style of act, but you're not really going to go. You're not going to walk on and say, "Right, I'm gonna. This is all material." Now you sort of, they buy into it. Do you know what I mean? They buy into the sort of they what do you call suspend reality for the minute or whatever. Is that the right phrase?
Yeah.
When they like, yeah, and they sort of buy into it. But I sort of I'll do that. I sort of have mine on. I've got like my persona is he's an idiot, but he thinks he's one of the good guys. Do you know what I mean? But I step out of that sometimes and sort of like commentate on it, and that works well for me. Like as
Yeah.
I sort of running on two levels, and I enjoy doing that, and it sort of flags up that. He knows he's an idiot. You know what I mean? He's not like literally an idiot, but yeah, you always
No.
like playing around with it and feeling it out as you go along. It's never done.
That's right. No, it isn't. It's funny you say that. I was at the Edinburgh Fringe the year that Robin Williams died, and he died, I think I'm right in saying, during the festival.
Okay.
And I was watching Will Franken
Oh,
do a show that
yeah.
night, and he, I think, was part of the improv troupe in San Francisco, and he knew Robin Williams years and years and years ago,
Right.
and he finished this like brilliant kind of tangent that Will used to always go on, and he said
Yeah.
to the audience at the end, "Ladies and gentlemen, that was 5 minutes of pre-prepared material delivered in the style of an ad lib as my tribute to Robin Williams.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that is kind of it, isn't it? They say practice everything, especially the ad libs.
I mean, I've got material and I'm on there doing jokes, but I'm also ready to step out of it any moment
Hmm.
and improvise. So yeah, I quite like doing a bit of both if it comes, or sometimes I sort of engineer it, so I step out of it and play with the crowd a bit and then come back in. But yeah, I'm ready. You've got to be in the moment. You've got to be in the moment. So
Yes.
you know if you're doing your material, something happens or someone reacts in a certain way, you got to be ready to deal with that. In my opinion.
If you had to come up with a rough on an average, and this is so hard, and you don't have to be like accurate to the percentage or anything like that, but if you had to come up with on a normal gig around the country for you, what would be the rough split between ad lib and pre-prepared stuff?
What average? Probably oh, about 80% material, 20% on
Hmm.
average.
Hmm.
On average, but that could there'll always be some because I do my set that so I'll do what they call a header. So if I've got a bit about bald being bald, which I have for that any baldies in tonight, and I'll have a little mess about with the audience, knowing I'm going to go into that bald bit next, sort of segueing in.
Yeah.
And what I'll find, I read it in a book. This because I remember before I read somewhere or was taught somewhere, don't mess about with just get into your material, get as many laughs per minute as you can. But then, and I sort of went by that. But I would and then I read a book. He said a thing called a header. So what you do? So I'm doing about bald, a bit about being bald. So any baldies in tonight. So what? And then I might play with the crowd a bit and have some jokes ready where I'll ask them a question, whatever answer they give me, I've got a joke for that, or I'll play around with them. But then I'm going to go into this bald bit unless
Yeah.
something happens. Anyway. But point being that what that does, that header, it it helps engage the audience
Yeah.
which are and I, when I started doing that, which it wasn't that long ago, only the last couple of years, it really lifted my performance up. Because sometimes I could, although I was ready to engage the audience if I needed to, but this particular method at the beginning of some of my bits really helped lift me. So because it engages the audience instead of just going. So I bought a dog the other day. Who's got a dog? What dog you got? Oh, and really pulls them in. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being a bit paranoid about it because I look quite scary and aggressive and big and alpha. So sometimes people can be a bit, or they might, or if the crowd are not really with you yet, it helps bring the crowd in, doing that, engaging the audience and bringing them in.
It's
And I'm
absolutely
pretty good. I'm good at the riffing. Well, I've been doing it a long time as well. I often get bonus laughs from that as well and it might help me write new bits and I'll see reactions and go back and think, oh, they react like that if they do that. So I'll write a little tag for that and sort of build it that way sometimes.
Absolutely spot on, buddy. Someone once described it to me as the difference between talking with an audience or talking at an audience. If
Yeah,
people think they're being spoken at, sometimes they
yeah,
very, very quickly turn off. But just a little
mm,
question. Any baldies in? Yeah. When did
yeah,
you
yeah,
go bald, eh, mate?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
blimey, that must have been
yeah,
hard with the girls. You know,
yeah, yeah,
whatever it is, and knowing in your back pocket you've got a thing to bring it in. That
yeah. Well,
that works so much better.
I think yeah, everyone's got their own different ways of doing it, their own different styles. Certain things suit different people. But even if you go like who's been on holiday? If you go, hey, and then just get into it. It's just that engagement. Do you know what I mean? I found
Absolutely.
that really helped me.
People feel like they're part of it. Once you turn it into a dialogue, the time just flies by because people are engaged. If people think they're being spoken at, they
Yeah.
can start going, how long did he say this
It's
would be?
and And especially during longer sets, if you're doing like a show, an hour show or a longer set, if you're
Yeah,
doing a
right.
quick fire, doing a little 10 minutes or 5 minutes, you might not really bother. You might just go and go bang, 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 and get off. You sort of, I would approach it a lot different if I'm doing, I should think I've done a 5 minute set for years,
No,
but
I know.
you might do a 10 minute set here and there. And but that's a different approach. It's like bang, 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 bang. Maybe one little bit of in and out of the crowd, or if it does come up, I'll do it obviously. But I'll approach that a lot different than if I'm doing a 20 or 30, 40, or like the full show.
Absolutely right. Tell me, when you turn up to a venue,
Mm.
what would be some of the things that you would notice about a crowd that punters wouldn't notice?
Um, I mean, if the gig's well run, it'll all be compact. Sometimes you go there, they ain't like it's a bit spaced out or something, or like, well, it's just like a nice gig. There's no distractions, no TVs and bars in the background and this and that. I don't know. As the gig goes on, I sort of like if I'm opening, which I do, I open a lot. I'll watch the MC and the crowd. I'll try and pick up on the vibe, and I'll
Hmm.
try and pick up. I might pick up on things the MC said or notice something, and then I like use that as a little callback when I go on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, is that what you mean?
Absolutely. It is
But
the sort of,
you can look at, I mean, we have these voices in it, although I'm positive and, you've been doing it a lot. There's always a silly voice in there that you have to deal with. Like, oh, what if they don't like me? They're not going to like me. No, no. But then you sort of like override that. This is just part of the process. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I'm very prepared and disciplined. So I'll sort of feel good that I'm ready. You know what I mean? It's like if you're boxing, if you're trained hard, you're getting in and you ain't made. If you're not trained, then yeah, maybe shit yourself then.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know
So,
exactly what you mean. And everyone's guilty, I think, of prejudging audiences. Like you look at a room, and I don't travel around the country so much now. I mainly like host the shows that I run, just because I'm busy with other things, but I still love doing that. But when I was like you on the road more, you'll look at some crowds and you'll think, my God,
yeah,
they are going to build a statue of me for this place when I finish this set. They are all going to bloody love it. And other times, you're kind of giving it the gig a bit of a sideways look, like, yeah, I'm not totally sure how this is going to go. And the first one, they kind of go, yeah, haha,
yeah,
that was
yeah,
pretty good. And the ones that you're worried about, they're the ones that are falling off their chairs
yeah.
laughing at
I
the
mean,
end.
yeah, you never know. You shouldn't judge, and I'm sort of, yeah, I'll feel a crowd out as I'll go on my sets. I'll do certain bits of material, and if I'll see how they're reacting, and if reacting in a certain way, I'll do other material, or if they're reacting in another way, I'll do other material. So I'm sort of thinking on the spot how I'm going to do it, and I'll sort of, you can sort of get a gauge of it before you go on as well. You see what sort of vibe they're giving. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I'm somewhere like downstairs at the King's Head, which is very middle class lefty, they I'm not really going to be doing any dark stuff unless I've really got them on side or edgy stuff. Like I'll get them right on side, and then I wouldn't. Whereas if I'm doing somewhere and it more like East London, Essexy, or like sort of like a working man, like very working
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
they love all the like dark and dirty stuff. And but I generally sort of start. I can get a good idea. And to be honest with you, my stuff's pretty universal anyway, believe it or not. People make judgments because of the way I look and talk and all that, or subjects I talk about. I'm pretty universal, and it's for everyone. I'm not. I'm and I know and I know that from when I do it. I know how my stuff works. But there's um yeah, for the best part, I'm pretty. But yeah, sometimes I remember I opened for Jerry Sadowitch.
Did
And I
you?
was, yeah, at Leicester Square, and I was
Cool.
quite a while ago now. Yeah, it was really cool actually, because
Yeah.
I've been to see him a few times, and
And me.
he's a big hero.
He's
But
one of my favourites.
that was the first person I'd opened for. I've not really done. I'd only just prior to that done my first Edinburgh, so I wasn't used to doing a cold room, as in no MC, nothing, just me straight on. I'd MC'd before, but not going on and doing a cold set. So I'd done that, and I remember I was doing my set, it was going all right and that, and then I said something a little bit dirty, and I thought, oh, and then I slipped like the C bomb in there, which I don't use. I don't even use that. And I thought I was just testing them all, or something like that. I said something a bit dirty, and I was loving it. So I was trying to, as I was going along, trying to put in more like naughty references, because that's
Yeah,
what they
yeah,
was
yeah.
going for, which I wouldn't normally do. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Having done that, what are the differences of going on a normal kind of mixed bill night or a festival show where you know everyone's there to see you
yeah,
versus warming up for someone where they're all, you know, all there to basically see someone
yeah,
else?
yeah. I mean, I'm confident in myself, and I can handle it. And I opened for Clinton Baptiste as well,
Oh
not
yeah,
that long ago. So a lot more experience and stuff. And although they was there to see him, that was a pretty cool crowd. And I knew they'd they'd like my style of comedy, and that was fun. Yeah, when you do your own show, which I've done like Leicester Festival and Glasgow Festival so far this year.
great.
Yeah, they was a lot more. They had come to see me in particular, and they was invested. Um, I think Glasgow was a bit more hardcore support for me. Leicester was sort of felt like they just come in, and I was a bit more careful with that. But yeah, yeah, you sort of right. It's like it's twos and fro's, because they've come to see you and they've invested. They bought a ticket, and it's just they've come to see you. They can't really. They like they've read the thing, they know. But then also you're doing a long show, so you've got to you don't want to be dying 10 minutes in, like
No.
losing the crowd 10 minutes in. Um, so there's that little bit of pressure. So you want it to go well. But yeah, I like the Glasgow one. I really, they was really into me, and it felt really, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
felt actually, I felt like a bit of a superstar there. That sounds really wanky, doesn't it? But
No,
as
it
in, I
doesn't.
felt
No, it
really.
doesn't.
But they was really like really there, you know what I mean? Really
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
Leicester
yeah.
one went really good as well. I'm not saying that, but I mean, I really felt the connection with the Glasgow one, as in that
Mm.
sense. I did have friends there who actually knew me as well, but not the whole room wasn't. But that was really nice, and that like they come up to go, all right, Lenny, like they know you and all this.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
That's
do.
nice. That's so I aspire to have more of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But there wouldn't be anything if you were supporting an act that you would necessarily change about what you would do versus your own show.
No, not really. I'm sort of prepared anyway for whatever listen. I want the crowd to enjoy it, and I want to do well, whatever the show. So it don't really come into it. No, the hour show's slightly different, because you're doing a bit for me how I do it. My hour, and what I'm doing at the moment, I'm sort of trying to showcase myself, get out there, get exposure. I'm not like there is a sort of theme, but I'm a bit cheeky how I've done it, because my show's called One of the Good Guys, and that's sort of like my persona. So I
Yeah.
could really, but I've got it has got a nice sort of ending to it. And in the end, I really like. There's an intro and a middle bit and an ending. It's not just like random. It does go, but I
Yeah.
sort of do. I like to do my sets like that anyway. But um it's not like long form as such. It's like although it's a long show, it's sort of there's a lot of gags, and some of the bits stretch out a little bit more, but it's all that's all for a reason, and there's gags in it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Len, you know from the story that I told at the top of this, you're leaning against an open door with me, mate. I know you're one of the good guys. You just need to tell
Yeah.
everyone else that.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's the stage persona. Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry. I've totally forgot what the question was. I
No,
go off
no.
rabbit and forgot what we
No,
was
no,
actually
no,
talking about.
not at all. That is how these things work. We
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
every time I listen to someone answer one of my questions on this, my brain thinks of about half a dozen different questions. So
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
happens to me the whole time. Tell me a little bit about working with Sadovich. Did you have much interaction with him off stage?
No, 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 not on stage. No, I met him just before. Said hello. That was it. To be honest with
Righto.
you. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
doing his thing. He was like, yeah, he was. No, I didn't really meet him.
He was getting his
Yeah, prepping and that and whatnot. I suppose. I just see him and he said, "All right, thanks for having me." Shook his hand and then just got on with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's different how people are like, well, I suppose he's actually quite a grumpy sod when he's on stage, ain't he? So you probably
His
wouldn't,
persona.
yeah, well, you
Yeah.
wouldn't probably. I'm always fascinated, and you must have spotted this when you work with other comics, how
Mm,
sometimes it's like for me, I would say it's a kind of exaggerated version of myself. And
right.
I'm pretty similar, I would say.
Yeah.
My wife and kids might disagree with that. But
Yeah.
there are other acts, and it's like Jekyll and Hyde. They will go on.
Yeah.
You meet them before, and they're like, and they go on
Yeah.
stage, and you're watching them going, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, is this the same person?" Have you noticed stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, it's their persona. I've got a persona. I'm not like that off stage. There's similarities, and I draw a lot from my life to write about. But I'm not that same person. I'm a different person. Do you know what I mean? I'm like
How are you different?
my persona's a complete idiot. You know what I mean? He does a joke about ginger bashing. Another one stones a woman to death, and just I wouldn't do that in real life. Like, and but I do draw. So I've built this persona. I use it as a persona, I'm very like conscious of what I'm doing. I've got my persona. I know his flaws. He thinks his blind spot is he thinks he's one of the good guys, but he's actually an idiot.
Hmm.
Like my joke, the joke about the quick version is I'm a very woke comedian. Just the other night I met with gay, black, Asian, Jewish, disabled, feminist, binary, non-binary, and vegan friends. We all went ginger bashing. So that joke is on a few different. That's sort of like he thinks he's doing a good thing, ginger bashing. Thinks he's being woke
Yeah,
by
right.
ginger bashing, but he's an idiot.
Yeah, right.
But and then on another level, it's an ironic joke. It's defending ginger people, saying how they don't get fair treatment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That joke's grown and grown. That's my favourite joke in the sense I've been doing that a long time. In originally it was because I remember when I very first started. I thought you'd see comedians go on stage like they'd get the ump about if you done took the piss out of like gay people, black people, Asians, ginger people are fair game though. I thought that's not fair, right? I, so I've done this joke. The original version was I'm a very politically correct comedian. Just the other night I met with my gay, black, and Asian friends. We all went ginger bashing.
Right.
And it slams, it really bangs as well, just the rhythm of it, the way the
Yep.
punch like the words right at the end. And then in time I've developed that joke. I've rewritten that so much, and it's still one of my best. Like for reaction, I still
Mm,
use that a lot.
mm.
Even at the beginning, I've rewritten it. Do you want me to tell you quick how I've
You,
rewritten it? I'll give you a
please
few examples. It's been rewritten loads of times. So
go on. Yeah,
another
yeah.
line which Adam Bloom loves, if you speak to him here back, he'll tell you because he said that's one of his. I say I'm a very, very politically correct, sorry, woke comedian. We don't say politically correct anymore because someone found it offensive. So that's a little gag there in the setup. Now it is just the other night I met with me gay, black, Asian, Jewish, disabled, feminist, binary, non-binary, bi-binary, cheerio binary, transgender, pansexual, gender fluid, gender neutral, and vegan friends. We all went ginger bashing. I finished. And then there's a tagline. So a little bit of irony there for the purists, or a little bit of bigotry for the people who don't understand irony. And, and I'll tell you how I got that tag a few years back. I've done is it the Acne Empire New Act of the Year comp?
Okay.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And it was that was in the infancy of that joke. I've done that. I've done the heat because you have a heat and you get through to the final, and I was dying to get to the final of that. So originally from Acne. I always wanted to play a theatre with two tiers. I've never done that at that point,
Mm.
and just to get to a final of a competition as a new act, you really want that, don't you? And I've done this heat, and I think there's about two of us who had good gigs in the whole heat. It was a really shitty run, but I had a really good gig, and someone else did,
Yeah.
and I didn't get through. I thought, fucking whatever now. And I weren't. I didn't say anything I shouldn't have said. I didn't. I weren't being like drunk and being a nuisance. I remember there was a guy who ran it. He had a dog. Do you remember him? He used to go on stage with a dog. Some old boy. He used to
Yeah.
run it.
Right.
I can't remember
Yes.
his name. Right.
I
He had a
do.
little Jack Russell, and he used to
Yeah.
like jump up and like headbutt balloons and all that, wasn't it? And I remember seeing him during the interval, and I said like, "Oh, thanks for having me." Just said hello. And I remember he went to me, "Oh, you're the ginger bashing bloke, ain't you?" And I'm like, didn't think nothing of it. I thought, anyway, I didn't do it the next year, but I thought to myself, I bet that's why he didn't put me through because it's like deemed hack, isn't it? Having a go at gingers in comedy. Well, it
Maybe.
is. It's deemed hack, and the joke is actually sticking up for gingers. That's the whole point of the joke. People want to laugh at it because they think they're having a go at gingers. Fair enough. I'll take the laugh, but it is. So what I done after that, I thought that's where I got the tagline. A little bit of irony there for the purists, a little
Got
bit of
that.
bigotry for the people who don't understand irony. And also what I was saying about earlier, how I step out of the persona, that's a good example of doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then I didn't do it the next year. I missed out on the application. I've done it the year after. And I've done the same joke. I remember I was going up, I was doing well, and I've done that joke. And he was sitting at the front row, and I remember looking at him when I said ginger bashing. I see his face fucking screw up like he was sucking on a lemon.
Yeah.
Right, I've lost him. I hadn't even done the tagline explaining it. So I to this day think that's what happened. But I got a good tagline out of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but listen, I find it really and how I've built and why I like that as well because I put taglines before in the setup. So
Mm.
before that was that, I've got the bit at the beginning. I'm a very politically correct. Sorry, we don't say politically correct anymore because someone found it offensive. Joke
Yeah.
there
Got
in the
it.
setup. The other
Yeah.
one that is a sort of like a list rant. I met when we gay, black, Asian, Jewish, disabled, feminist, binary, non-binary, bi-binary, cheerio binary. That's a little one I throw in sometimes. If I'm playing to a very, very woke, uptight crowd, I won't do that bit. So I'll gauge that. That's another good example of what we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
And vegan friends, and that might get if the atmosphere is good, that will get a laugh there, which I'm not worried about. And then I'll do the punchline. But one last bit about that, I've done that a little while back, and there's another actor on gay fella. I can't remember his name. Lovely fella. I've never met him before. That was the first time I met him, and he was loving it. He said to me, I used to say, "What was it? Gay, black, Asian." You used to say, transsexual. I used to say. He went, it's transgender. They don't say that's like a dated term. So I changed it to that. So what I do as well, when I get this impression, I use a lot of terms that shows they know I know what I'm talking about. So if I'm
Yeah.
saying
Right.
I'm showing them a bit of respect, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I do another joke that involves Muslims, which is not having a go at Muslims, but I show knowledge of Islam in that.
Yeah.
So there's a
Right.
little on a subliminal. You go, oh, he actually knows what he's talking. Like I've got my Muslim mate of mine. He said, "Fucking hell, you like I'm impressed with your knowledge." About
Absolutely.
Islam. So
It's
it's sort
the
of like little
detail.
subliminal messages along the way that
No.
give you license. Do you know what I mean? I don't attack anyone in my material. Not
No. But
really.
it's poking fun at it, and it goes back to what I was
No, I'm
saying
not. But
earlier
it's
on.
not. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier on about the sort of supply and demand of an act like you, in as much as there are people who are very much on the kind of, woke end of seeing the world and everything. But it's also true to say there's some people think a larger group of people that do actually think that it's gone too far and it's nonsense. So a joke like that, it's not putting you obviously as someone who does any of those things, but at the same time, it is also poking fun at something that a lot of people think has gotten a bit far and
It's
is kind of nonsense.
well, I'm not really. You got to be cute how you talk about subjects because
Yeah.
they switch off. And I don't. I'll never have any problems. Very, 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 very rarely. Once or twice in my fifth, but from nutters and people. You could have. I know the wokest people in the world. They'll like my stuff. Do you know what I mean? They get
Mm.
it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I'm
right.
not. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
like I. I don't attack what I'm. Some people think I'm being anti woke, but I'm not being anti anything. I'm like playing. I'm playing on my white working class persona.
No, I know,
Because
but
I don't want to go and alienate anyone. And I like to think what I think. I've been doing comedy a long time, studied hard, and I think a lot of people get it, whereas other people it goes over their head sometimes. I like the ginger bashing joke. A lot of people will just think I'm having a go at gingers when I'm doing that, and they'll laugh. But it's no, which is, but it's
exactly.
not.
People laugh for different reasons. I'm not totally sure that there's any subject that should be kind of taboo or off limits. And if you spot whatever it is, an irony, a contradiction in something, I think the only yardstick really should be, is it funny and what's the intention behind the joke? But if something's like ludicrous, I can remember a few years ago there were some comics that were saying things like, "Oh, you aren't allowed to take the mickey out of Jeremy Corbyn. All we've got to do is try and get the Tories out." And I read that and I was a little bit like, yeah, but Jeremy Corbyn's still someone with ambitions to lead the country. He's leading the opposition. If he puts his foot in his mouth or does something dumb, which,
Mm,
some people think Jeremy Corbyn did with um,
mm,
regularity, I
yeah,
don't think as a comic you should look at someone and think, God, I'd love to take the piss out of that bloke, but I can't because my tribe tell me, we're only
yeah.
allowed to
No,
make jokes about Tories. Do you
I
do
don't.
you get what I mean?
Yeah, I don't buy into all that. I think that's like weak. Listen, you can talk about whatever you want. What you want to do is though, when you don't want to alienate the audience. Listen, I'm
No,
a comedian. I don't want to alienate the audience. So like,
definitely.
if I'm doing a gig and they're very like conservative or like sort of right leaning audience in somewhere like Kent or something, I'll get that. I might take the piss out of Keir Starmer, right? Whereas if I'm doing a gig and
Yeah.
it's mainly Keir Starmer supporters, I'm not going to do a Keir Starmer joke because they're not going to go for it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
So, and the other thing is, you can no, there's no who makes these rules. You can do whatever you want on stage. It's up to you. But if what you don't want to do is a good example is if you're talking about taboo subjects, say for instance like race or trans or anything like that, because what they can do, they can freeze up, so it's not worth it. You can talk about anything you want, but you don't want the audience to feel awkward. Or unless if I do that, I do that for a reason, to get them to feel in a certain way, because that's a setup to my next joke. So yeah, I'm building
Mm,
tension because I know I'm going to do, and then everything's all right. Do you know what I mean? No
yeah.
one's stopping any. What I go on is the reaction of the audience, not what geezer over there has told me or this one. I'm going on and I'm feeling the vibe of the audience and using my experience. And I've got jokes that I'll love, but if they're not working, I'm not going to do them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
That's what it boils down to. But Adam Bloom talks about it in his book. Okay, I'm referencing him, but it's true though. So if you went on and you spoke about if you went, I'll go into it if you went on stage, you went, I was chatting to a Muslim, right? You've just said that. You might your next sentence might be, he was the nicest person in the world. Or so, but as soon as you say that word, there's like trigger words with people in audiences, more so in some places than others. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
like so you
definitely.
feel the vibe, but yeah, you can do it anything you want. And I sort of with me, I play on my persona, so people will look at me like you say, he looks scary, or he looks a bit right wing, or he looks like a fuck. So I'll play on that, and I'll build tension, and then release it. Like a silly little joke. I used to, you probably remember this one. I don't really do it now. I said, my mate Jimmy said, "What are your views on Muslims?" And then I'll leave a beat, and you can feel the crowd, their asses tighten up, and then it'll be pretty good. I live in a penthouse overlooking a mosque. And everyone, oh, yeah, oh, good, yeah,
Right.
cool.
It's just a
So yeah,
pun on the word views. Yeah, got it.
it's not just it's misdirection as well. When it's just like,
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
it's a play on words, and there and that,
It is
yeah,
misdirection. You're absolutely
sort
right.
of what,
Like,
and they think, where's he going with this? And then everything's all right. So I'm talking about Muslims. They go, you can't talk about Muslims. I've just spoke about Muslims. You can talk about anything if you do it in the right way. Do you want to
totally.
bother with it though? Sometimes it depends on your persona as well.
And then what you also get into is why people laugh. And I
Yeah,
think one of the things is a kind of a shock value, isn't it?
yeah,
You think a joke is
yeah,
going in that direction, but all of a sudden the punchline goes pew,
yeah,
like 90 degrees, and you go, huh. And a really common reaction when you're shocked in life is to laugh, isn't it? You go,
yeah. That's like one of the laugh triggers. There's a lot of they'll like the shock value, which you only really want to use as a garnish. You don't want to do that all the way through because it becomes a bit like tedious.
people
But
spot it.
but you can cut. Yeah, if it's too much, like you can use like the odd dark joke or the odd edgy joke. If you're doing it all the time, unless it's your own crowd and that's what you sell. But if you can like use them as a garnish. But there's a lot of like laugh triggers. There's like irony, wordplay, loads of. I could go on, but the reasons people laugh. And when I write, I'm sort of conscious and see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. Here's a question. What do younger comics worry about too much?
Me when I was younger?
No,
Well,
now the
I don't know. Do
younger
you know what? I don't
comics
really.
that well, if you can't answer that with any young comics that you've spoken to, what did you worry about too much when you
Well, listen,
started?
I don't worry what other people. I genuinely just focus on myself. Same with anything in life. I'm not
Okay,
really worried about other people.
then answer it
Right.
from your point of view.
When I was worried, what was I worried about? I don't know. I think I played it safe a lot too much in terms of I could have done more new material. So I had loads as well. I was very prolific. I've always been pretty, but I just sort of didn't develop my set enough. I sort of, I did develop it a lot, but I could have done it a
Right,
lot more.
right.
And I'm like
Yeah.
now I'm prolific. I'm bringing out like I've got loads of new stuff and always turning over and trying to bit more braver with that. I could have been a bit braver, I think,
Yeah,
when I
right.
was first starting.
No,
Um,
I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean. I'm now a bit of a poacher term gamekeeper. When I was on the road, I would spend too many gigs being too experimental. And
yeah,
if it didn't work, I'd just be like, meh, that didn't work. Let's try something else next time. Whereas now, when I book acts, I'm like, the gold, stick to the gold,
yeah,
you lot.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Yeah, there's a time and place. Um,
there is a
yeah,
time and a place, and it's also about where you put it in. If you start and finish well,
yeah,
sometimes if I'm booking acts that are a little bit too big to play my gigs, and
mm,
I'm, self aware enough to know that's the case, part of
yeah,
my pitch is to say to them, you can try out some newer stuff as long as you top and tail it with the gold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they get that and they're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cool, cool, fair enough.
I think anyone sensible would. You would never open with a new bit, brand new bit, or close with a new bit.
One of the things,
Once he's earned his, he has to earn his stripes to become an opener or a closer.
absolutely, because people don't realize audience concentration's U-shaped, isn't it? You start off listening and you finish listening. Obviously, people listen all the way through, but that's when they listen most. So get them
Well, yeah,
early and
you just want,
finish it.
yeah, you just. I mean, if you're any good, you want to be as professional as you can. So that is how you would do it.
One
Do you
of
know what I
my
mean?
one of my pet hates that winds me up is when you get acts that would be reading off of notes if it's not a work in progress show. That drives me up the wall, that does.
Yeah, if it's not a new material night or working pro, yeah, that's very unprofessional. Unless it's
Yeah,
part of your act, unless it's part of your act, but yeah, but
I think so. Yeah, because it's
well,
like
yeah,
you would start off with stuff that works really well, and then you sometimes I've done gigs where acts have been like say to the audience, "Okay, I'm going to try some new stuff now," and they'll get a pad out and
yeah,
start reading stuff,
yeah,
and the audience thinks, "Well, we thought
yeah.
all of that was new."
Don't tell them it was new stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Just do
yeah,
it. Just try it. See
exactly.
how it goes. So with my style as well, I'm like a lot of gags, and build it gradually. So I might throw in a little line, and if it bombs, it don't matter. On to the next one straight away. They won't don't even notice really. Or
Nice.
I've got little stock like jokes that I'll do if a joke bombs. Do you know what I mean? You know, like they go, "Oh, is this thing on?" It's like that sort of thing. No,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
not for
yeah.
you. Or I've done stuff before when I've if I've took the piss out of. So I've misjudged it. So I've got a lot of Keir Starmer joke, and this particular crowd didn't go for it. I'll be like, oh, lefty crowd, sorry about that, and they'll like laugh, and it's just
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
would if you
yeah.
was just talking to someone like we're talking now. And I go, oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, like I'll go like crack a joke. Oh, yeah, fucking all these idiots with broken hands. Oh, sorry, mate. Forgot you had a broken hand. No offense. And like
Yeah,
we'll have a little
right.
laugh
Yeah,
and
yeah,
carry
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like common. It's like courtesy, in it?
No,
So it sort of transfers over.
it is, it is like courtesy. You're absolutely right. There's a thing called the spotlight effect, where a speaker thinks they're more under a spotlight than they actually are. So if you have a little bit that doesn't work, in your head, if you're not very experienced, you can start thinking, shit, I thought they were going to laugh at that bit. They didn't laugh at that bit. Oh my God, they're probably not going to laugh at the rest of this. But when you do it enough, you realize, especially if you got like mates
We
in and they
we
chat with you afterwards, there
yeah
might be a bit in the middle that didn't work, but your mates are just like, oh, that was brilliant, that was. And you're like,
yeah
what did you think about the one that didn't work? And they're like, what one? Like
yeah
their knowledge of what has been
yeah
transferred from your set into their head. As a speaker, you think, my God, look at this 100 people. They're all facing me. They're all being quiet. They're all looking at me. They are
yeah.
listening to every single word of this. But when you've been going long enough, you realize that that's actually not the case, is it?
But do you know what I'll do? I'll try and film all my sets. So and what I'll do after the gig, I'll watch it. I'll I'll go home and watch it, and then I'll watch it in the morning. Or if I'm coming home really late and I'm too knackered, but I'll generally 99 times out of 100 will watch it after the gig
Hmm.
and pick up on stuff that like maybe think of taglines or stuff that then and rewrite stuff and pick up on because with new stuff when I'm doing new stuff, not just brand new stuff that I've been working on. In time, I'm gradually going, oh, that'd be good there. Oh, they reacted like that there. Oh, so if I react like that, I'll say this, and then and gradually build it like that. So you get and you can gauge the crowd. That's the most honest that's the honest thing about stand up. Are the crowd laughing or not? That's what it boils down to. It's no good
Yeah,
going
it
on
does.
stage and
Yeah,
no
it
one's
does.
laughing, and you come off your mate goes, "That's brilliant." That's not what I'm looking for. I need the
Mm,
crowd laughing. So, you know,
absolutely.
I play to the crowd.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Len, you mentioned earlier on some like part of the process to combat the negativity before you start.
Mm.
Do you have any mechanism? I'm sure it doesn't happen very much now, probably more so when you were earlier on, but do you have any similar coping mechanisms if a gig doesn't go as well as you'd like it to?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, listen,
What you do?
I'm prepared. I do a lot of preparation for my gigs.
Hmm.
Um, I like to go over it if I'm a long drive, which is good because I go over it in a car. It's sort of like loose gears, oils me gears, and then
Yeah.
I'm a bit more loose and I'm more. If I have a bad gig, I try and figure out what went wrong and why, and then work on that. And then hopefully on to the next gig soon enough and have a good gig.
Hmm.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, I don't really have bad gigs now. That's mainly through experience. That's not being arrogant.
No, no, no.
Um. Yeah. I don't really. Like, I shouldn't say this. I'll probably die on my arse at the next gig. But I I like to smash gigs. Do you know what I mean? Do like I'll set myself high standards, and I want to be the best I can. And I had one. I was struggling to get the crowd on side. I was thinking, why didn't I get the crowd on side? And I think I had a new opener that had been working well, and I've been doing it a bit, but it didn't go. It weren't suited to that sort of gig. So I thought, right,
Mm,
I'll just use that opener. So I learnt that there. And I'll tell you what I did learn actually quite recently. I thought I talk too fast. Talk too fast because I think the excitement. So I've really made a conscious effort, like I'm actually doing right now, to slow down
yeah.
and pronounce my words. And what that does, it makes it easier for you as well because you're rushing through it. I think it's adrenaline getting hold of me, and even now sometimes that's something really conscious of. Even now, I really try and talk slow. They understand me better, and
Hmm.
I get it's a better delivery, and I have also got time to think of another line or a tagline or be in the moment more because you've got
Yeah.
more time to react. If you're like zooming through it, you've got less time to react. Do you know what I mean? So if you slow it down and it suits my style, I don't go mega slow, but I was talking too fast before. I'd even trip like even in everyday life, and I'd be like tripping over words and not pronouncing words properly. And then, but I sort of stumbled across that not that long ago and watched some stuff on YouTube and that, and that's worked really well for me actually.
Yeah,
Took me up
good.
a little bit, took me up a level.
Oh, there's always something else to learn, mate. So,
Mm.
Len, am I right in saying that you've gotten into some of the kind of acting on screen stuff after the comedy,
Yeah, so I've been doing stand up 15 years,
right?
and I've done a lot of improv as well. Early doors, got into that long form improv, and then so I'm into acting. I started getting offered little independent films because a lot of comedians act as well, similar sort of, sort of tied in together.
Yeah.
And then I got a part. My first TV gig was a show called Ministry of Justice on Channel 4, which I met someone at a gig, and he said, Lee Kern it was, who's done some TV stuff. And he liked me and he said, oh, I work in TV. I'll try and get you on something. I'm like, all right, you hear that all the time. And he was just making a comeback at that point, and I'll give him a gig list. And then a little while later, someone got in touch with me and I had an audition for this TV show. Didn't have an agent at the time. Ministry of Justice, got it Channel 4. It was on a Friday night. It was really good. I was in a few episodes, played a few roles. It was like a hidden camera prank show, sort of satirical. There's a
Yeah.
TV, it was a follow up to a show called The Revolution will be televised,
Okay.
which won BAFTAs, was a big show. Then this one come out, didn't seem to do so well for whatever reason. But yeah, that was that. And then I thought I need to take this seriously. I was getting more like little short films, independent films and stuff. And then I thought I need to take this acting seriously. I had no plans to get into acting when I done stand up, but I thought, and it's always my persona. Although that Ministry of Justice weren't really like that, but it was a lot more my improv skills. But anyway, I um I went to see an equity careers advisor, and he set me up. He said you need to get yourself an agent, headshots, show reel, blah blah blah. So I've done all that, and in between that, I got a part in EastEnders, and
Ah.
I just got the part just before I was about to go on a meeting with my agent. So I walked into the meeting and said, "Oh, by the way, I just got a part in EastEnders." So that was handy. Then I signed with them, and yeah, I've done a lot
Brilliant.
of. I've got a lot of. I think I've been on Enter Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, two separate series of that. Late
Yeah.
Night Mash, Slow Horses recently. Was
Yeah,
in that.
right.
And I've
I
just
love that. What were you in Slow Horses?
I was a security guard at, wait
Right.
for it, a far right rally. So I
Oh.
was in one episode. That was
Oh.
brilliant. Yeah, that was really good. And I've just been in just I was in a film that'll be out on Netflix or Amazon that I can't talk about. And we just shot that the
Ooh,
other week. I had a part in that. That'll be out later in the year
cracking.
apparently. And a big comedy that was on Channel 4 recorded for Audible. That'll be out soon as well. I've done that more recently, but they're not on my record yet 'cause you can't put them on until they've been released.
Oh,
So I
and,
can't talk about them. But
wow, my dear.
I've got about 10 TV credits. Yeah, all from stand up originally, yeah, if you like.
So, part of this podcast is for people that communicate in other ways and what they can learn from stand up comedy. Can you think of any lessons or skills that you learn in stand up that you're now using in your acting roles?
Um I thought he was going to say in life. Shows you.
Oh,
Um Well, yeah, the stagecraft and like
go
the
on.
improv helps as well because although you're on a script, something that can get changed, and you sort of and the just performing and because I mean, first time I got on stage as a stand-up, I'd never performed in my life. Maybe done like bloody school play when I was six, Jesus of like the Christmas play or whatever. Apart from that,
Yeah.
I've never done anything. So there was that element of it. That was like public speaking and that like performing in front of people. So I've got a lot of experience, so I'm comfortable doing that, like having a camera in my face and whatnot. And yeah, no big deal for me. Just that experience of performing.
Because some people, if they were on a film set, especially something like Slow Horses, they
Mm.
might get quite kind of nervous or overawed. So, presumably, dealing with nerves,
Uh,
turning it into excitement in your head and stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, I've done a few now, so I'm quite. Yeah, I do get excited, but not to the point of showing myself up. Like I'm excited and grateful to be there, but I've done it before, so it's pretty. I know what to expect. Do you know what I mean? But
I
it's
do
quite
know.
funny enough. The one in Slow Horses, the scene I was doing was it was in a big hall at a rally, and there's hundreds of people there, a lot of extras in it, and it's quite funny actually. They come and they went, "This is Lenny. He's playing. I can't remember the name. Security guy." And everyone's like, "Wow!" And I'm like, I'm like, "All right." Like the whole room.
Can I bring you lot along to some of my gigs?
Yeah, I know that was amazing. I had my own trailer and everything. That was
Did
unreal. That
you?
Slow Horses, real. And the guy, one of the creators, Will Smith, the white Will Smith, the English, used to do stand up.
Yeah.
Remember him, posh guy.
Oh
I had a
yeah, yeah,
good
yeah,
old
yeah,
chat with him.
yeah.
Yeah, real nice fella he was, lovely fella. We had a good old chat about comedy, and like he's got a lot going on. He didn't have to do that. It was nice for him. He was a nice guy.
No, sure, sure. I mean, I think stand-up comedy is hard enough that you can apply elements of it to lots and lots of different. Well, go on. Why don't we try the question that you thought I was going to ask? What differences has stand-up comedy made to your life in general? Can you think of any?
Yeah, big time. It's the only thing I've stuck with in my life. I'm still doing it. I always do it. It's part of my fabric. I've never really stuck with anything up
Yep.
until doing that. Um, and what I love about stand up as well, which a lot of people forget, is it's a very positive thing. You're going out and you're making people laugh. And that sort of ties back to your earlier thing. I don't go out to upset anyone or offend anyone. If someone come up
Yeah.
to me after I was upset with one of my jokes or whatever, I'll that would upset me, no matter who they are or what their beliefs are. I wouldn't, I don't want anyone to get upset. I want to go out there, and I like that. I like me making people laugh and stuff like. I remember a guy said this. I remember a geezer saying this before I even got into stand up. He's like, right, Jack the Lad, and he will sit there chatting. He goes, do you know what? He goes, there's no better feeling in the world than making someone laugh.
Yeah.
And we lose sight of that. I think a lot of comedians forget that, and it's easy to take granted. I think with me, when COVID come around, it really changed a lot for me with comedy because it sort of like stopped doing it, obviously. Then when I come back, it weren't the same, and all of a sudden I thought, blimey, I ain't really gigging much at the moment. I need to like sort it out. So try and sort it out. It's easier said than done. So I've got an agent for acting, although they were my comedy. I didn't really deal with stand up unless it was they weren't actively getting me gigs. But if someone inquired, they want me at their gig, they'd help out. But then I said, do you mind if I try and get an agent for stand up and stay with you for acting? Like, cool, they're brilliant, my acting agents. And so I've done that and I managed to get an agent. And all of a sudden I'm gigging all the time. He helped me get exposure, which I believe in myself. And I've done a gig at Comedy Unleashed, and they put one of my videos online, and that blew up, done really, really well, like a full 20-minute set as well. And I had another
Mm.
one from a separate gig that went viral, actually, just a clip, a bit I done. But that, so I got the exposure, and I knew, and I started believing in myself a bit more. I was always, but do believe in myself, and you should do, not being not sort of being cocky or arrogant, but you should believe in yourself. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I sort of had a lot of really good feedback, and it done really well. I was like, oh man, I need to. And so I've just been doing that. And so, point being, I got out and I was gigging more. And I was like, and I'm very grateful for that because there was a point where I was finding it hard. I weren't gigging as much as I'd like.
Hmm.
And it's quite hard to, and admin's never been my strong point.
No.
I've had to step up now and
Yeah. Right.
do, but then I was like, oh God, it seems so overwhelming and fucking computers and all this, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a lot easier
I
when you
know.
just got someone ringing, messaging you. You've got a new gig in your diary, mate. All right, thank you. Yeah, you've got a new gig in, rather than now, or like before, you have to like email them. Are they going to reply? Yeah, they
Yeah.
reply.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
free on this date? Yeah, I'm free on this date. All right, have you got any? Blah, blah, blah. Not fucking about. But the point being, and then I'm out there and I'm buzzing. I'm gigging regular, buzzing. I'm doing what I love. You know what I mean? My passion, and I love every minute. I gig everywhere. I love traveling as well. Getting about. And so I'm very grateful for it. I'm genuinely grateful. I'm not like just saying that to try and sound like a nice person. I'm genuinely grateful because I've sort of. I remember earlier on, I sort of took was like if you fly, but it's very easy to sort of take it for granted a bit and relax. But now, and I'm really, I don't know, I'm very disciplined and got a really good mindset now. I'm in a good place and I'm developing stuff and I'm really, like, really hungry and up for it and loving it. So, yeah, I'm in a good place.
I'm so pleased to hear that, buddy. And I would say that is a brilliant time to give this podcast a bang on the head, I think, on that lovely positive note. Lenny, one more question from me, sir. If people have heard this and they would like to find more about you,
Yeah.
what is the best way for them to see your stuff and to find out where you're gigging all over the
Fo-
country?
So follow me on Instagram. I've got my website's just being made at the moment. I'll have a website soon, but for now, I'm very active on Instagram. I put a lot of stand-up clips and I'm doing funny sketches. I'm active on that at the moment, so I'm trying to grow that a bit. Give me a follow on there, Lenny Sherman. I'm doing a big my show, One of the Good Guys. I'm doing Brighton Festival. Oh, end of May, Saturday and Sunday. Have a look on their website if you want to come to that. I've got another, and my big one, if you're in London, July the 25th, Saturday, July the 25th, 7 o'clock, Museum of Comedy. That's going to be brilliant. You get tickets, I think they're around about 11 quid. I want to sell that out. There might still be a few left, but come to that. You should come to that as well, Sam. And I've done the show at a few of the festivals. It is a good show. Not in a, I worked hard on it, and we'll have a lot of fun. Always. So yeah, July 25th, Museum of Comedy. If you get on my Instagram, that's all my links are at the biog anyway. Best place to find me is on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well. But
Absolutely fantastic. Lenny, I can't thank you enough for your time
no,
doing this, mate. I've really enjoyed the chat.
thank you very much for having me, mate. I've enjoyed it too. I could talk about this stuff all day, mate. To be honest, I find it intriguing. It's interesting. Yeah, thanks for having me. And good podcast. Keep listening, gang. Share it and help the man out. Support. It's a good
Bloody
thing.
right. Bloody right.
See
Top man, Len. I'll see you soon, brother.
you later, mate.
That was Lenny Sherman. What a top bloke. I think there were loads of takeaways from that, but here are three now. What Lenny said about authenticity is crucial in comedy, and I think all forms of communication. Find out who you are and stick to it. Secondly, I've known Lenny for 15 years, but I was really surprised in that chat at his attention to detail in performance. All that stuff about rewriting the same joke so many times, how well he knows his stage persona, what different laugh triggers there are for audiences. You want to get good at something, put the work in. And lastly, the tip about slowing down when you speak cannot be overstated. An example of Lenny's attention to detail is how he analyzes all of his shows after. And even after all the gigs he's done, he spotted he was talking too quickly. So easy to do if you're nervous, over familiar with the content, whatever you're doing it, if you spot it, then stop it. That was Before, During, After, a Smirk Experience podcast about performance from the inside. If you've enjoyed it, why not share it with someone else who you think might get it? And give us a follow while you're at it. See you next time.